Alright guys, such a good again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. OpTic have responded to what has been a challenging start to 2026. Scump says you've got to wait to see this team on land to really judge them, but Dashy reckons that after their 0-18 run last season, this certainly has not been anywhere near as bad. Anything is still possible for this OpTic team. The confidence is still there that they can turn it around to come the major, and certainly at some point this season, but the next week or so will be critical in terms of how we judge this OpTic roster going forwards. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. This is Doug Sent to Martin, watching Huke clutch a 1v4 back in Advanced Warfare. We'll talk about Huke, we'll also quickly talk about Doug because he is back on a team. He has been free agent for a little bit of time, looking to find a new roster for the rest of challenges. And, Omit Noir is the new Omit team featuring Doug, among others. So, we'll see how these guys get on. Alpha, Icon, Sensor, and Nate, that's the team of four. Excited to see those guys turn up to Dallas and play. Speaking of other events this year, the World Cup is coming up and right at the start of August. It's the final event of the season, 3 or so weeks after the World Championship. Now, this was a tweet that was done January the 9th. Alex replies and says, hopefully the COD tournament this time can be double elim. There's been some talk about, the early part of the tournament at EWC is pretty good, but then it gets to the bracket and, the single elim bracket all the way to the finals and stuff. It's a tournament, it's pretty special in terms of the prize money, but there are probably some things they could do better. And it looks like this year they might be switching up the format because, as Benjay points out, in quite a few places, the COD tournament is now listed as August 5th through 9th, which would be a 5-day event rather than the traditional 4-day event. Now, of course, the World Cup, they have a whole week, right? Like, I don't know what week COD is. It's like COD week 6 or something. But effectively, it runs for 8 weeks, this tournament, across all the different games. So it doesn't have to be just a 4-day event, Thursday to Sunday. They could make it a 5-day. And if they did, they would be able to add more matches, potentially double elimination. And I think they've announced it as 5th through 9th in quite a few places. So it's probably not a mistake. And it looks like it could well be a 5-day event this year, which means probably more matches. Well, it's got to be, right? More matches at least in some regard. So we'll see how that one goes when that gets confirmed, I suppose, going forward. Now, Exceed, he's been the talk of the town lately. Ronnie actually sat down with him before the OpTic match yesterday and talked about a few things, just saying that he's happy that he's got the opportunity because after hearing the news that they were going with Neum, I was a little let down because there was literally nothing else I could have done in the tryouts. Like, he thinks he was frying, he was doing a great job. Obviously, the team's damn good with him. So you've got to wonder how good they were with Neum in their scrims. Sib says they weren't that good. Maybe it was like name value in the sense that Neum kind of, not unknown quantity precisely, but within reason, didn't have the baggage maybe that Exceed had coming into this team, but he's done a great job to turn their season around and his own performances and belief and the community and him around. He even says towards the end of this, I think it's fun to see the people who talked bad on my name for years say, oh wait, he's actually good. On the other hand, it's only been 3 games, now it's been 4, and they beat OpTic, and we still have the entire year to keep proving what I can do and what we can do as a team. But things are getting pretty spicy at the top. Here are the Ravens, sitting pretty at 4-2. They've still got one more game to play. Gentlemate's now at 4-2. Falcons 4-2. FaZe at 4-2. And OpTic at 4-3. So this is the way the standings currently have lined up. Of course, things could change, and OpTic, I guess, could still go up, possibly, if these other teams get smoked, but that's pretty unlikely. So OpTic are currently 5th, and I don't think they'll be moving up from there, because the teams behind them are likely to potentially overtake. OpTic's map count 14 and 13, not exactly great. It's not possible, I think, for OpTic to be in losers. Obviously, all these teams behind them could win, and then they would get to 4. But I think because, Boston play Thieves and stuff like that, it's pretty unlikely that that would happen. And 4 wins, you can't be starting and losers with 4 wins, you would think. So OpTic will be fine, but they don't want to fall too far down on this list because if they do, they should be playing a better and better team at the start of the tournament. Although right now, who really knows how good any of these teams are? But this is how it looks. Gentamates are up top. Falcons are still tied with FaZe, although there are some, of course, teams in action on that front today. Ravens have clawed their way up to 4th. They've got, it's good for CDL points as well. In terms of champs qualification, this is what Ravens did last year. They had a great stage 1, and that set them up nicely for the rest of the season. So, yeah, G2 in action as well. There's a big game coming up today on that one. But OpTic, middle of the pack. They won World Champs last year. They won the World Cup. They started the season very strong back in December. Not been the same story over the last couple of weeks. We saw that exemplified, I think, last night against the Ravens. Now, Shotzzy is now 47th, so he's moving up. He was 48th, now he's 47th. You got purged to thank for that, it seems, dropping down to a 0.86. But it's not like Shotzzy's level is improving dramatically, and maybe he gets to 46th after, I don't know, maybe gets smoked or something. But it's still not great, is it, right? And that's been a key talking point. So a couple of clips to share on this. Now, this clip from Dashy came out before they played Ravens, but it's still very relevant because he says, and it's similar today, last year was a disaster in many respects. At least that 0-18 stint, it was even worse than that, really, right? I think when you consider some of the matches they played before the 0-18 run, it was like 0-21 or something. It was bad. And then eventually they got a map win on the board. We know what happened when Mercules eventually came in. The Dashy was like, look, that proved a lot. It proves that we can deal with the adversity, but also he's not going to stress too much on a bad online stint. Lands what really matters. And Scump echoes a similar thoughts, right? And Scump says, look, we've done the 0-18. We've seen that. Obviously, the OpTic fans and the OpTic players, they don't want to go back to hell again like they were in. They would love to see themselves not in that position again. And I don't think it's ever going to get that bad again. Like, 0-18 map count is just so outrageous. It's difficult to imagine that's even possible again from, like, any team, let alone OpTic, the reigning world champions. Yeah, it's a bad stint, but you got to see how it goes on land. Some were even saying, Scump, could you come back, right? Maybe you step back in. Does the team need you? Obviously, every year this gets talked about. Scump nearly did it last year. He nearly did it the year before that. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but it will be one of the big what-ifs if Scump actually did one of these opportunities over the last few years decide to come back. What Scump said, though, was pretty funny. It's like, yeah, look, I could spawn in and turn on Exceed. No problem at all. Parasite even reckons that the way OpTic are playing, their lack of teamwork, Ravens' teamwork, the trading was so much stronger than OpTic's was that series. Parasite thinks they're playing for the stats, they're playing for the scripting, they're throwing these matches, not throwing them, but you know what I mean, like they're in a position where they're trying to build the storyline for the end of the season when they make the miraculous comeback and they win back to back to back.
Doug, it's actually crazy, like in all seriousness, like in the middle of that whole process, you're not even thinking about that being a reality, you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy. I never lost faith, though. I actually genuinely never lost faith. I wanted to make sure we made champs because that was fucking... I can't believe that was even like a worry. That's how awful we were kind of the whole year. Everybody doubting, everybody's talking shit, saying your ass, this and that. Then all 4 of you guys lock in on the same goal. Selflessness. Everybody's playing for one goal, man. It's so cool to see that like journey, like thinking about it and experiencing it. I feel like the fan base, so it was like legit a roller coaster, bro. The whole year. Team, we're dropping this guy, we're picking up this guy, we're getting getting smoked in every other match. We're going 0-18, getting top 8 every tournament. And then this kid named Mercules, bro.
This fucking trailer, guys.
Fucking perk. Fucking legend, bro. Fucking Mercules. It was peak 0-18 and I'm sitting there, I'm like, why is this even reality? But it's just you and you, bro. When you're just alone with your own thoughts, Doug, especially me, I'm on the balcony, you know what I mean, decompressing. I'm just thinking like, what happened? I swear to God, 6 months ago, we're on top of the world.
It's less than a clock. OpTic boys had the bomb down. They had to get the bomb down, and then look what they do. I mean, I was saying it during the watch party. Merc, Shotzzy work together here, 2v2. They just got to work together, play together, and they do the opposite. I mean, Merc is just holding an iron while Shotzi's pushing green, and then Shotzzy gets caught in crossfire. He gets blooded. Now Merc, with 17 seconds left, he's all by himself. He's trying to chase the kills. It just seemed like their small talk maybe, like in the middle of these maps, were just off. Like their situationals seemed a little bit off today. And maybe that was coming down to the comps. Would you guys agree with that? That their situation seemed a little off?
Their arrows make it seem like they're so convinced that they have like the proper information to do something, and they're chasing ghosts. They just don't.
Yeah.
Like where are they going?
I don't know. It seemed like they were just running. It seemed like they didn't really have a thought process. They were just hustling, and the teamwork was off. Right, if you're gonna run, at least do it together, right? If you're gonna run around and get aggro, like Sam said, the one round they actually did it and just chatted something together, they won the round, and it was clinical. right? I think they got to use their numbers more.
Bro, I just
I think
refuse.
that's a lot of shit to figure out.
I just refuse how good they were at BO6 and had that understanding of how to play quick together, and then they come to this game and it's just completely fucking like just gone. Bro, are they doing this shit on purpose so they can have another like 4-hour long process about getting better as a team? Like what the fuck
man. That conspiracy theory is insane.
I mean,
They're
that's
farming content.
theory.
I mean, dead ass though. Like, where's the teamwork, bro? It's not hard to fucking grasp. Just fucking flood a lane together and stop fucking doing
Maybe
shit
it's calculated, bro. Maybe it's calculated.
I don't think it's.
Dashy's too high. I mean, I might fucking join him. I might go rip the Benjamin right now because holy shit, man. I mean, how much? Nah, it's not that bad. We've done 0-18. We've done 0-18. It's a bad stint right now, but we gotta have faith in the boys to figure it out. If the major goes bad, then it's like, oh shit. We gotta see how the boys look on land. At least we're in winner's bracket. At least we're in winner's bracket. Boys, how we feeling over there? They're telling me to spawn back in. I don't think they want that.
Yeah, just ignore that dumb shit. You'd be terrible.
It's just because Koi have only
it's definitely a deflating tough loss.
Scump is getting ran. Shut up. Shut up. I'm running your shit.
Somebody's got to be right.
You're telling me I can't spawn in and fucking turn on Exceed? I'm turning on that.
I mean, bro, honestly, I just can't.
So OpTic will need a good few days of practice going into their home major. They're going to collect the rings on Saturday, I think is when the ring ceremony is. So they better hope they're still in the tournament by then. I'm sure that they will be, but you know what I'm saying. Obviously last year their home major where they collected the rings did not exactly go to plan. There was also Thieves, pretty funny people were saying, it's like, damn, they win 1-0 against OpTic and then turn on the podcast mics, but this is what has happened. So they put out a podcast last night, Thieves, with the team, talking about some things, and they were talking about the rosters and what might need to change. Effectively, their opinion is, if you know your team is compromised, you can't win, you just blow it up immediately, because what's the point? So, for Lqgend, they should have done that, but obviously, people were not long ago speculating on Genny's future on this roster. One win against OpTic seems to have changed the narrative on that, but that could all change very quickly, because they are in action again today. And as we saw earlier, Thieves are sitting at 3-2, but they're still the 6th seed. So they can get to 5-2, they can get to 4-3, and they'll be okay, but they certainly need to win one of their final 2 series, and today is the perfect opportunity probably to do that. Just before we move on, actually, I did remember seeing this. Apparently Karma went live on stream and was talking about a few things and says, from his perspective, OpTic aren't that bad. Like, he's not too frustrated with their practice, he thinks it's going okay. That's the quality of their search and destroy, that's the problem. And we know what they say, search and destroy wins championships. It's going to be difficult for OpTic to try and win their home major anyway, if their search continues to look lackluster as it did against Exceed and Ravens yesterday, because OpTic went up 1-0 yesterday, right? So go up 1-0, then you win the search and destroy. If your search is good, you go up 2-0, and then it's difficult to lose the series from there. But yeah, interesting that he says Gentlemate to the team that pushes the most in practice. But these aren't the games. So Toronto played G2. Must win for G2. If they win, and they win comfortably, they could get to 3-4. G2's map count's pretty good. So, G2 3-4 with a great map count could be enough potentially for the winners bracket, but still a little bit unlikely. And Toronto, it's probably going 5, isn't it? Let's be honest with these guys. Toronto, though, they can't win a search, so maybe that's an opportunity for G2 there. Falcons versus Cloud9. Cloud9 are an interesting team. The pace that they should have on their roster with the players that they have, like Cloud9, there is a parallel universe where Cloud9 are playing kind of similarly right now to how Ravens are playing. But it's just not happened. To be honest, I don't think it is going to happen. Like, even when we've seen those guys have takeover maps, it's still not been enough to win a series. So I think Falcons should get the job done there. And that would put Falcons at 5-2, potentially like properly #1 seed for the major. But look, who knows? These matches have been so hard to call lately. A Cloud9 upset would not be totally outrageous. And then Thieves Boston, really big game for both teams, right? And we know that this has been a kryptonite game for Thieves last season, obviously slightly different rosters, but Thieves lost to Boston a couple of times, critical moments, Major 2 and Champs, of course, when Boston had their number. And it's a really important moment because for Boston, they also really need to win. Like, all of these series are critical for seeding because Boston are 3-3 with the 13-14. If they lose, they're probably in losers. And Thieves, they really need to win. So it's like a massive couple of games for all of these teams to try and get to the winners bracket. If Kenny plays like he did last week, Thieves will have no issues here getting the job done. But will he play like last week? I think that's a little bit doubtful. So very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.